Welcome to our deep dive into Significant Insignificancies by Sarah Sevenfold.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
It really kind of shifted my perspective on finding joy.
Oh, wow.
You know how we're always told to focus on, like, those big achievements?
Yeah.
Like, getting that promotion or buying that house. But this book is all about shifting our focus to those tiny, often overlooked moments.
Okay.
That actually make up a life.
So, like, the little things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really more about, like, how those little things add up to something much bigger than we realize.
I like that.
And what I thought was really interesting is how the book starts by asking us to really embrace our smallness in this vast universe.
Oh, wow. That's kind of a humbling thought.
It is. It's like a cosmic reality check.
Yeah.
And it uses that incredible Carl Sagan quote about the pale blue dot.
Right.
Have you heard that one? It's where he describes our entire planet as seen from space.
Right. It's just like a tiny speck in this vastness.
Exactly. And it really highlights how insignificant our everyday worries seem in the grand scheme of things.
That puts things in perspective.
It really does.
Wow.
And that's where the book's central paradox comes in.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
It's this idea of significant insignificancies.
Okay, so how can something be both significant and insignificant at the same time?
Well, it's about recognizing that by acknowledging how tiny we are, we can actually let go of those anxieties and start to appreciate the simple joys that are right in front of us.
Oh, so it's like finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Exactly.
That's a cool concept.
So instead of stressing about getting that promotion, maybe I should focus on enjoying my morning coffee ritual.
Or like instead of, worrying about the messy house, just be present and playful with your kids.
That's a great example.
Right.
Yeah, it's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already have.
Okay.
And the book doesn't just throw out these big ideas.
Yeah.
It actually backs them up with historical examples.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, like, remember Galileo?
The astronomer.
Yeah, he started with a simple telescope, just observing the stars out of curiosity.
Right.
And that insignificant act of stargazing actually revolutionized our understanding of the entire universe.
Wow.
Which really brings home the point that even small acts can have a huge ripple effect.
That's amazing.
It's a powerful reminder that meaning and purpose aren't always found in those grand, sweeping gestures.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about finding joy in the quiet, everyday moments.
Right.
And trusting that those moments have a significance all their own.
I like that a lot.
I'm starting to see how this ties into the book's emphasis on presence and mindfulness.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that Buddha quote.
Which one?
Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Being present is key. Like, imagine you're comforting a friend who's going through a tough time.
Okay.
Just being there, listening without judgment.
Right.
That simple act of kindness can be incredibly significant for them.
I can see that.
And it makes me think about all the times I've rushed through a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was worried about, the next thing on my to-do list.
Totally.
What if I had just slowed down and been fully present?
Right.
I bet that small shift in my mindset could have made a big difference.
Absolutely. And this leads us to another crucial concept the book explores.
Okay.
Cultivating humility and compassion.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How does that tie in?
Well, there's that beautiful C.S. Lewis quote.
Okay.
Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less.
So it's not about putting ourselves down.
Right.
It's about shifting our focus outward towards understanding and connecting with others.
Exactly. And it reminds me of how Zen Buddhists find meaning in simple tasks like sweeping.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about the task itself.
Right.
It's about the attitude and intention behind it.
It's about bringing a sense of mindfulness and reverence to every aspect of life, no matter how seemingly insignificant.
Yeah.
And the book illustrates this with powerful examples from spiritual traditions.
Oh, cool.
And the lives of individuals like Mother Teresa.
Oh, wow. Mother Teresa, what a great example.
She's so inspiring.
Yeah.
She dedicated her life to serving the poorest of the poor.
Right.
And her actions weren't about seeking recognition or fame.
Yeah.
They were about embodying compassion and love in the most humble and practical ways.
That's such a powerful example of how true significance doesn't come from titles or accolades.
Right.
It comes from the impact we have on others.
Yeah.
From the love and kindness we put out into the world.
It's starting to click for me now how embracing our insignificance can actually be a pathway to finding deeper meaning and purpose.
Right.
We let go of the ego's need for constant validation and focus on connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
That's a beautiful insight. And this leads us to another powerful idea the book explores.
Okay, what's that?
Finding comfort in shared experiences.
Okay.
And it connects this concept to various spiritual teachings that emphasize our interconnectedness.
So like the idea that we're all part of one big human family.
Precisely. The book uses the example of Al-Anon meetings.
Okay.
Where people come together to share their struggles with addiction.
Right.
And in that shared space, individual pain transforms into collective strengths and healing.
It's a powerful example of how vulnerability and connection can help us navigate life's challenges.
It is. And it brings to mind that Hemingway quote.
Oh, which one?
We're all broken. That's how the light gets in.
It's a reminder that our imperfections and vulnerabilities are what make us human.
Yeah.
And they can actually be sources of connection and strength.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And this leads us to the final point I want to touch on in this section.
Okay.
How embracing insignificance fosters freedom.
Freedom! I wouldn't have immediately connected those two ideas.
It might seem counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But when we release the need for constant recognition and external validation, we liberate ourselves to pursue our true purpose authentically.
So it's about finding freedom in being ourselves.
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not it leads to fame or fortune.
Precisely. The book uses the example of artists who find joy and fulfillment in their creative expression.
Right.
Regardless of whether they achieve mainstream success.
It's like that E.E. Cummings quote.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you everybody else means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight and never stop fighting.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
Such a powerful statement about the courage it takes to embrace our individuality in a world that often pressures us to fit in.
Right.
And the book provides a fantastic example of this in the life of Emily Dickinson.
Ah, yes. Emily Dickinson, the reclusive poet who poured her soul into her writing without seeking recognition in her lifetime.
Her dedication to her craft and her willingness to embrace her unique voice, even in the face of societal expectations, is truly inspiring.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of embracing our insignificance to unlock our true potential and leave a lasting legacy.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
And I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what this book has to offer.
There's so much more to explore. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into the practical applications of these concepts.
Okay.
And how we can integrate them into our daily lives.
I'm looking forward to that. You know, it's interesting to think about how these ideas play out in a world that's so obsessed with achieving and being recognized.
Yeah, it's like a constant pressure cooker, isn't it?
Totally. We're bombarded with messages about needing to stand out, be the best.
Get ahead.
Exactly. But this book is like a breath of fresh air.
It is.
Because it challenges that entire mindset.
You're right.
It suggests that real fulfillment might actually come from embracing our ordinary, everyday experiences.
It's a huge relief, honestly. Instead of striving for some unattainable ideal of success, we can find contentment in simply being present. And appreciating the small wonders around us.
I love that. What if success is just savoring that first sip of coffee in the morning?
Or taking a walk and really noticing the way the light filters through the leaves.
Yeah.
Those tiny moments of beauty are everywhere if we just slow down enough to see them.
And that's where the book's emphasis on mindfulness and presence comes in. It's about shifting our attention away from the anxieties of the future or the regrets of the past. And just being fully present in this moment.
In the now.
Right here, right now.
Exactly.
This reminds me of when I first started meditating.
Oh, yeah?
I was terrible at it.
Really?
My mind was racing with thoughts.
I know that feeling.
But over time, I learned to just observe those thoughts without judgment. And gently bring myself back to the present moment.
That's a perfect example of how we can cultivate that beginner's mind the book talks about.
Oh, yeah.
Approaching each experience with curiosity and openness as if we're seeing it for the first time.
It's like hitting the reset button on our perceptions.
Exactly.
We start to notice things we might have overlooked before.
Yeah.
The way the sunlight feels on our skin.
The sound of laughter in the distance.
Exactly. And when we approach life with that kind of open awareness, we start to see how interconnected everything truly is.
It's true.
How our actions, no matter how small, have a ripple effect on the world around us.
It's like that butterfly effect idea.
Right. One tiny change in one place can create huge changes somewhere else.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the whole idea of finding meaning and purpose in our lives.
Okay.
This book argues that it's not about chasing grand achievements or accolades.
It's about living in alignment with our values and contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
Right. Even if it's in small, seemingly insignificant ways.
Precisely. So if we're not measuring success by those traditional metrics, how do we know if we're living a meaningful life?
That's a great question. The book suggests that true success lies in living a life that's true to ourselves. A life that brings us peace and fulfillment.
So it's not about the destination. It's about enjoying the journey.
Exactly. It's about cultivating gratitude for what we have, appreciating those small moments that make up a life well lived.
Yeah.
And finding joy in the simple act of being.
I love that. It takes the pressure off needing to constantly achieve and allows us to just be present and appreciate what's right in front of us.
And it's about recognizing that true happiness doesn't come from external validation or material possessions. It comes from an inner sense of peace and contentment that arises from living in alignment with our authentic selves.
You know, it's funny, at first the idea of embracing insignificance sounded almost depressing to me.
I can see that.
But the more we talk about it, the more I realize it's actually incredibly empowering.
It is empowering, isn't it? When we let go of the need to prove ourselves or seek external validation.
Right.
We free ourselves to pursue our passions and live our lives on our own terms.
It's like we're reclaiming our power by surrendering to the fact that we can't control everything.
Right.
We're just a small part of something much larger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And things will unfold as they should.
And that kind of trust and surrender can be incredibly liberating.
They can.
It allows us to step back from the constant striving and just enjoy the ride.
But it's not about becoming passive or apathetic, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's about engaging with the world in a more mindful and intentional way.
Okay.
Recognizing that even small actions can have a significant impact.
Right.
That each of us has a role to play in creating a more compassionate and just world.
So it's not about denying our ambition or desire to make a difference. It's about channeling those aspirations in a way that aligns with our values and brings us a sense of peace and purpose.
Beautifully said. And it's about finding joy in the simple act of being present, appreciating those small wonders that surround us.
Something that really resonated with me in the book was its emphasis on interconnectedness.
Oh, yeah.
That idea that we're all part of a vast web of life.
Right.
And our actions, no matter how small, ripple outward and impact others.
That's a key takeaway. The book highlights how recognizing this interconnectedness can lead to a deeper sense of compassion and empathy.
Okay.
It encourages us to view ourselves as part of a larger whole, rather than isolated individuals struggling alone.
It's like we're all in this together, facing similar challenges, sharing similar joys.
And that shared experience can be an incredible source of strength and resilience.
I can see that.
When we recognize our interconnectedness, we're more likely to offer support to others and to seek support when we need it.
Yeah, it really is comforting to realize that we're not alone in this.
Not at all.
Like we're all kind of holding each other up in a way.
Yeah, creating this web of support.
Yeah, and this book really drives home the importance of those connections.
It does.
It's not meant to be a solo journey.
Not at all.
And you know, it's not just about having a lot of friends or being popular. It's more about the quality of those connections, cultivating relationships that are built on authenticity, vulnerability, and mutual support.
Absolutely. It's about finding those people with whom we can truly be ourselves.
Right.
Quirks, flaws, and all.
Like creating those spaces where we can really let our guard down and just be real.
Exactly.
Which reminds me of this quote I read recently.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Brene Brown.
Okay.
About how true belonging doesn't require us to change who we are.
Right.
It requires us to be who we are.
I love that. That's spot on. And this book really echoes that sentiment.
It does.
It's about recognizing that our flaws and vulnerabilities are what make us human. And that it's in those shared imperfections that we find our deepest connections.
So instead of trying to present this perfect image to the world, we can focus on building genuine connections with people who accept us for who we truly are.
Exactly. And those authentic connections can bring so much joy, support, and meaning to our lives.
They remind us that we're loved and valued for simply being ourselves.
Yeah.
Not for what we achieve or how we appear to others.
It's a reminder.
It is. This whole conversation is making me think about my own relationships.
Okay.
And how I can bring more authenticity and vulnerability to them.
That's great.
It's a little scary, but also incredibly exciting.
I think that's a common experience. Yeah. Opening ourselves up to true connection can feel risky.
Yeah.
But the rewards are immense.
Yeah.
It's in those vulnerable spaces that we truly allow ourselves to be seen and loved for who we are.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into significant insignificancies,
okay,
what are some of the biggest takeaways?
For me, it's that reminder that true joy and fulfillment don't come from chasing those big achievements or seeking external validation. They come from embracing the present moment, appreciating the small wonders all around us, and cultivating a sense of gratitude for what we already have.
I love that. And for me, it's the emphasis on interconnectedness and the power of community.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we're not meant to do any of this alone.
Yeah.
And that we can find strength and support in each other.
That's so important.
It is. But I think what's so beautiful about this book is that it invites each of us to find our own unique meaning and resonance within its pages.
Absolutely. It's a starting point for a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with our authentic selves.
So as you go about your day, I encourage you to keep this idea of significant insignificancies in mind.
Okay.
Pay attention to those small moments, the subtle details, the simple acts of kindness that often go unnoticed. You might be surprised by the beauty and meaning you discover when you start looking for it.
And remember, it's in those seemingly insignificant moments that we often find the greatest joy, connection, and purpose.
That's it for our deep dive into significant insignificancies.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing the beauty of the ordinary,